It Ends With Us cast member Isabella Ferrer is now suddenly declaring through her lawyers that Justin Baldoni is harassing her by drawing her deeper into litigation and disputes that she has done her best to avoid, all because he's subpoenaing you? If subpoenas equal harassment, well then what is Blake Lively doing to me and all the other content creators?
Isabella filed a motion to get out of the subpoena that she was served by Justin's team. Any respect I had left for Isabel went downhill from here because she stated that the subpoena from Justin is, quote, yet another attempt by Justin to harass non-party Isabella and draw her deeper into litigation and disputes that she has done her best to avoid. For one,
I have dealt with a million indemnification clauses in my career, as most of the lawyers here have, because they show up in all kinds of different places. And a lot of times, the indemnification clause itself will say, the indemnified parties will cede control of their defense over to whoever is indemnifying and paying the bills. And what you usually want, if you are the person being indemnified, is to say, I'll cede control to you of who the lawyers are and how much they charge, and if you guys are going to pay to settle the case out. But I just want to maintain control over my own, like, you can't agree that I'll make a public apology without involving me kind of stuff.
Could this legal maneuver actually destroy Isabella Ferrer's career before it even takes off? The It Ends With Us drama has taken a shocking new turn that nobody saw coming. Isabella Ferrer, who played young Lily in the controversial film, is now claiming through her attorneys that Justin Baldoni is harassing her. But here's the bombshell that's sending shockwaves through Hollywood. She's calling legal subpoenas harassment, while simultaneously dodging her legal obligations. If subpoenas equal harassment, then what exactly is Blake Lively doing to content creators and witnesses across this entire case? This latest filing isn't just legally questionable, it might be the move that exposes everything. Before we dive deep into this legal disaster, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this case is moving fast and you won't want to miss what happens next.
The only thing we've seen is his response to Blake's inappropriate allegations, where Isabella said, you are a wonderful, smart, sincere director who created such a comfortable, safe space for me. I feel like I could step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. And he said, oh my gosh, thank you, our pleasure. This is what we have to base it off of, though. Now, this text exchange was brought in by Justin, that's true. But now, Isabella's lawyers are trying to paint that more nefariously. They're saying that but at this point, they're calling it the Baldoni team, even though it's the Wayfair team. They're doing that on purpose. There's so many fingerprints here from Blake Lively. It's so obvious from my perspective. Ron's as well, and others I'm going to show you. But this is seemingly written by Blake's team because it's so anti-Justin in a way.
The latest court filing from Isabella Ferrer's legal team reads like a desperate attempt to rewrite history and reshape public perception. Her lawyers are now claiming that Baldoni's subpoena represents harassment, manipulation, and inappropriate behavior. But legal experts across the country are calling this motion fundamentally flawed from the very beginning. Attorney Ron Zambrano didn't mince words about this filing, stating that the motion is poorly drafted, contains grammatical errors, misspells names throughout the document, and presents arguments designed to confuse rather than clarify legal issues. This isn't the work of seasoned legal professionals handling a high-profile case. It's damage control gone completely wrong. Here's what makes this filing so deeply problematic. Ferrer spent exactly 4 days on the It Ends With Us set playing the younger version of Blake Lively's character. She never shared scenes with Baldoni directly during filming. She had minimal interaction with the director compared to other cast members. Yet somehow, she's now positioned as a central figure in a harassment narrative that legal experts say doesn't hold water under scrutiny.
In this case, when they are subpoenaing content creators that they've never met simply because they have anti-Blake Lively stuff, just pisses me the fuck off. And I don't know who these Isabella Ferrer attorneys are, but I am not impressed at all. This document is meant to confuse, it is meant to conflate, it is meant to accuse, and it is like, it probably would have been easier for people to accept it if they had been written and filed 4 months ago, when it was like, oh my God, everything they're doing is so bad, and it's Darvo and all that, which is another basic thing that they say in here. I'm not buying it now. I'm not buying it. And I'm not buying it because I know that the things that they're saying, while they might sound smart to people who don't know any better, are not smart at all.
The timing of this filing raises serious questions that demand answers. Why file this motion now, months after the initial controversy erupted across social media and mainstream news? Why claim harassment over standard legal procedures that happen in every major lawsuit across America? Why wait until now to raise these concerns about Baldoni's conduct?
Because, look, she's trying to make it clear that now, not then, Baldoni has tried to manipulate, threaten, control, and otherwise act inappropriately towards Miss Ferrer. Because of the subpoena, and because of an indemnification clause, which we're going to get to in a second. But this is absolutely bonkers. Now, as we get to this, I want to throw this first point in too. She makes it clear, look, I was on this film for 4 days. I didn't get paid a lot. I wasn't involved with a lot of this, but now I'm being pulled in by Baldoni. Well, you actually were pulled in by Blake. Let's just make sure that's correct. I'm going to correct it every time. The complaint that Baldoni filed in response to Lively, not against her, in response to Lively, makes 4 direct references, including a few text messages. Some, not surprisingly, some of the text messages she sent to Baldoni were very positive. Well, why is that not surprising? Because he's a good guy. Included the types of comments one would expect from a young actress to make to the director and producer of her first feature film. So this is typical for her to lie? Is that what you're saying? And all actresses lie?
The answer might lie in who's really pulling the strings behind this filing and coordinating the broader legal strategy. Text messages between Ferrer and Baldoni, which were included in previous court documents, paint a completely different picture of their working relationship. Ferrer praised Baldoni as a wonderful, smart, sincere director who created such a comfortable, safe space. She thanked him specifically for creating a welcoming environment where she felt confident stepping into her challenging role. She expressed gratitude for his guidance and support during what was clearly an important career moment for the young actress. These aren't the words of someone who experienced harassment or inappropriate behavior on set. These are the grateful, genuine messages of a young actress working with a supportive director on her first major film role. The tone is warm, appreciative, and completely contradicts the narrative now being pushed by her legal team. So what changed between those positive text messages and this current filing? Why is the narrative suddenly shifting so dramatically? The filing attempts to explain away these positive messages as typical behavior from a young actress trying to maintain professional relationships in Hollywood. But this explanation creates more problems than it solves for Ferrer's credibility. If actresses routinely lie about their on-set experiences in private text messages to directors, what does that say about the entire entertainment industry's approach to workplace safety and honest communication? This reasoning suggests that positive feedback from actors cannot be trusted, which undermines the very foundation of professional relationships in filmmaking. Let's rewind for a second and examine exactly how Isabella Ferrer became entangled in this complex legal battle that's now consuming Hollywood headlines. Blake Lively brought Ferrer into this controversy, not Justin Baldoni. This is a crucial fact that keeps getting overlooked in the current narrative. When Lively filed her initial complaint against Baldoni, she alleged that the director behaved inappropriately during the filming of intimate scenes in the movie. Lively specifically referenced what she claimed to have heard about Baldoni's conduct with Ferrer during these sequences. She painted a picture of misconduct that allegedly involved the young actress. But here's the critical detail that changes everything. Ferrer never confirmed these allegations. She never made these claims herself. She never came forward with complaints about Baldoni's behavior during filming. Instead, what the public witnessed during the film's promotional campaign was something entirely different and quite revealing. Ferrer and Lively appeared inseparable during press events and red carpet appearances. They hosted slumber parties together, sharing intimate moments that suggested a close personal relationship. Ferrer was introduced to Taylor Swift at exclusive gatherings, gaining access to one of the most powerful social circles in entertainment. The young actress seemed to be receiving the full Hollywood treatment from one of the industry's most influential couples. This is where the story gets complicated and the power dynamics become impossible to ignore. Baldoni's legal team alleges that Ferrer was essentially love-bombed by Lively and Ryan Reynolds, then encouraged to distance herself from the director who had given her this career-launching opportunity. Was this a calculated move to isolate Baldoni and control the narrative surrounding the film? The evidence suggests a systematic campaign to turn cast members against their director. The power dynamics at play in this situation cannot be ignored or understated. Lively and Reynolds represent Hollywood royalty, a couple with the influence to make or break careers with a single phone call or social media post. They have connections throughout the industry, from studio executives to major talent agencies. For a newcomer like Ferrer, aligning with them would seem like an obvious choice for career advancement and protection. But choosing sides in this battle has now placed Ferrer in an impossible legal position that threatens to damage her reputation before her career truly begins. The legal foundation of Ferrer's harassment claims completely crumbles under careful examination by experienced attorneys. Her legal team is arguing that responding to a subpoena constitutes harassment, but legal precedent across decades of civil litigation doesn't support this position whatsoever. In simple terms, a subpoena is a court order requiring someone to provide testimony or documents in a legal proceeding. It's not harassment. It's exactly how the legal system gathers evidence in civil cases across America every single day. Every major lawsuit involves subpoenas for witnesses and third parties who possess relevant information. This is basic civil procedure that first-year law students learn. The real issue here appears to be about money and control rather than legitimate legal concerns. Ferrer's contract with the production company includes an indemnification clause, a standard provision that requires the production company to cover legal expenses related to the film. However, indemnification clauses typically apply when someone becomes a named party in a lawsuit, not when they're simply called as a witness to testify about their experiences. Here's where things get interesting and reveal the true strategy at play. Ferrer's team demanded that all her legal costs be covered under this indemnification clause. When Baldoni's team offered to have their lawyers represent her, which would satisfy the clause and provide her with experienced legal counsel, she refused this offer. Why would someone refuse free legal representation from qualified attorneys if they truly believed they had nothing to hide? Why would someone turn down professional legal services if they simply wanted to tell the truth about their experiences? The legal community has been largely critical of this approach and the arguments presented in the filing. Indemnification clauses don't typically cover costs for third-party witnesses in civil litigation. Witnesses generally don't need extensive legal representation just to answer questions truthfully under oath about their direct experiences. The process is straightforward. Answer questions honestly based on what you witnessed or experienced. This suggests the real strategy might be delay and avoidance rather than legitimate legal protection or genuine concerns about harassment. The filing reveals a pattern of evasion that legal experts find troubling and inconsistent with someone who simply wants to tell their story. What makes this situation even more concerning is the apparent double standard that's being applied to identical legal requests. Ferrer's legal team claims that responding to Baldoni's subpoena would constitute harassment and place an unfair burden on their client. Yet these same attorneys seem perfectly willing to comply with Blake Lively's requests for the exact same information and documents. Let that sink in for a moment. If the documents and testimony are appropriate for one side of this legal dispute, why aren't they appropriate for the other side? Both parties are seeking the same text messages, the same communications, and the same testimony about experiences on the film set. The information doesn't change based on who's requesting it. This selective cooperation reveals the true motivation behind the harassment claims. It's not about protecting Ferrer from genuine harm, but about controlling which narrative gets supported with evidence. The filing also attempts to portray Baldoni's legal team as overly aggressive in their efforts to serve the subpoena. They claim that multiple attempts to deliver legal documents somehow constitute harassment rather than standard legal procedure. But courts routinely authorize alternative methods of service when individuals are difficult to locate or when they're avoiding service of process. This is not unusual or inappropriate. It's necessary for the legal system to function effectively. What's particularly troubling is how this filing seems designed to generate sympathy and media attention rather than address legitimate legal issues. The document reads more like a public relations strategy than a serious legal argument. It contains emotional language and dramatic accusations that seem calculated to influence public opinion rather than persuade a judge based on legal precedent and established facts. The broader implications of this approach are deeply concerning for the entertainment industry and legal system as a whole. If celebrities and their allies can successfully claim harassment simply because they're asked to testify under oath, it creates a dangerous precedent that could shield powerful individuals from accountability. This strategy essentially argues that being required to tell the truth under legal penalty constitutes improper treatment. Such reasoning threatens the very foundation of civil litigation and the pursuit of justice in high-profile cases. The financial aspects of this case reveal even more troubling patterns that suggest coordinated strategy rather than individual legal concerns. Ferrer's team is demanding coverage for extensive legal fees while simultaneously refusing the most cost-effective solution offered by Baldoni's representation. This creates an expensive legal standoff that serves no clear purpose other than delay and obstruction. When examining the timeline of events, the delay tactics become even more apparent and concerning. The filing reveals that Blake Lively granted various extensions to Ferrer's legal team, ostensibly to resolve the indemnification issue. But legal experts suggest these extensions were granted specifically because both sides knew the indemnification dispute would take considerable time to resolve, effectively allowing Ferrer to avoid testifying for months. This coordinated delay tactic raises serious questions about whether there's active collaboration between the legal teams representing Lively and Ferrer. The similarities in their legal strategies and arguments are too significant to be coincidental. The language used in Ferrer's filing echoes many of the same themes and accusations found in Lively's original complaint, suggesting a coordinated public relations and legal strategy. The legal community's response to this filing has been overwhelmingly critical, with experienced attorneys questioning both the strategic wisdom and ethical implications of the arguments presented. Legal experts point out that the motion contains fundamental misunderstandings of civil procedure and creates arguments that could actually harm Ferrer's position if the case proceeds to trial. By filing this motion, her legal team may have inadvertently created additional legal vulnerabilities and drawn more attention to her role in the broader controversy. The document's poor quality and obvious strategic flaws suggest either incompetent legal representation or a deliberate attempt to generate media attention rather than achieve legitimate legal objectives. As this legal battle continues to unfold, Isabella Ferrer faces a choice between continuing to fight standard legal procedures or complying with her obligations as a witness in a major civil case. Her decision will likely determine not only her immediate legal situation but also her long-term reputation and career prospects in an industry that values both loyalty and authenticity. What do you think about these legal tactics and the broader implications for accountability in Hollywood? Is Isabella Ferrer being manipulated by more powerful players, or is she making calculated moves to protect her own interests?